Welcome to Tech Bites with Dan Hafner, your gateway to the future of innovation and technology. Dive into the exciting world of software where cutting-edge tech meets creativity. Explore no-code solutions that empower businesses to thrive without traditional barriers. Hear inspiring stories from tech pioneers and industry leaders who are changing the game. Join us on Tech Bites and transform the way you think about technology and business.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back into Today in Tech. My name is Dan Hafner, and I am super excited for another episode today. We're going to get into some very interesting stuff. So for today, we're going to talk about some very interesting stories. We're going to really dive into kind of the main thing that's kind of going through everybody's mind with AI is, are jobs really going to be a threat? Or which industries, which jobs are going to be lost? There's a lot of really interesting stories that have been coming out about that. Plus, I got a really interesting story for you guys, so stick around. I'm going to cover this probably later. But marrying your chatbot. Yes, you heard me right. Marrying your AI chatbot. Is it cool? Is it weird? Is it even ethical? Very, very interesting stuff. So we are going to get into all of that and more today. So before we do that, as always, please subscribe, like, and share this episode and this show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to the show. We really appreciate all of you coming on and listening to the Today in Tech show, a part of the Tech Bites podcast. If you're interested in some of the topics that we cover here, please just subscribe to the podcast and to the channel, and we talk a lot more. We have more interview-based topics. These types of shows are kind of just me doing commentary. We're going to also have some different people on here in the near future to give these kind of things. But, anything related to software, technology, AI, business, even some personal development stuff is always a fun thing to do. Now, before we get into this, I have been teasing this the past couple of episodes. You guys may have heard me talk a little bit about this here in the past, if you listen to the past couple episodes. But it's finally here, at least the beta version of it. So I'm gonna share it with you guys. So basically, we have now our own Vibe app coder. Yes, we built our own version of Lovable, of Replit, of Base 44, all these different tools out there. We are now a competitor in the space here at Dapper No Code. So I do not have a name for the tool yet. We're kind of workshopping a few of these things. But if you want to check it out, you can use it for free. You get up to 5 messages per day. You can go to app.dappernocode.com. And I will put that up here for you guys here. It is app.dappernocode.com. Okay. And you can try it for free. It'll make you sign up. You can basically get a free account. There are paid versions of it, obviously, because using AI is not cheap, as we'll get into here today. But it's really, really interesting. And then we're also taking naming suggestions. If you have any cool name ideas, I've been trying to play with different ideas and whatnot that we're trying to get to it. So we're going to come out with a different a name for it here eventually. But you can try it for free right now at app.dappernocode.com. Super, super excited and thankful for all the hard work my team and myself have put into this. So check it out. If you're interested in building any kind of internal tool for yourself, a new SaaS idea, and you don't want to hire an expensive dev team like myself, try it out for free. It's really, really cool. It's very interesting. It's kind of the way the world's going in software development, at least. So try it out today and yeah, check it out. So, all right. So today, the first topic we're going to dive into is going to be this story. UK hiring falls 31% for AI exposed tech and entry level roles. All right, let me share this here and then we can dive into this one. Screen share. There we go here. This is what you get when you produce a show by yourself. Okay, so UK hiring. Now, this is in the UK. We're here in the US, but this is very interesting. So UK hiring falls 31% for AI-exposed tech and entry-level roles. UK employers are significantly scaling back hiring, especially for roles highly exposed to artificial intelligence disruption, such as software engineering, finance, and consulting, with job postings in these sectors dropping nearly 38%, almost double the overall 31% decline. This contraction is linked to broader economic challenges, including high interest rates, sluggish growth, increased labor costs, and recent tax changes, which together exacerbate the labor market slowdown. Here's what's interesting too. Entry-level job vacancies have also fallen sharply, reaching their lowest since 2018, leading to intense competition among graduates and concerns that AI is replacing traditional entry-level tasks like data cleaning and draft writing. In response, students are shifting degrees and universities are updating curricula to emphasize AI literacy and uniquely human skills. While some experts highlight AI's roles in reshaping the workforce and prompting companies to pause recruitment, others argue that inflation, wage pressures, and economic uncertainty remain major contributing factors to the downturn. Overall, these trends underscore how AI adoption is accelerating shifts in the UK labor market amidst broader economic headwinds. Okay. Very, very interesting topic. It reminds me a little bit about the recession of 2008. I was a recent graduate I graduated high school in 2008, graduated college in 2012. And I remember the same kind of conversation happening back then, obviously not with AI, but with the slowdown and the contraction in the economy. How were new graduates, how were people that were coming into the labor force going to find jobs when there's just less jobs there, right? So that obviously plays into the market economics, where when there's less demand, there's going to be more demand because there was more and more people going into this and graduating from college, but the supply was down. That's not a fun place to be, right? And I think that's kind of one of the things why I wanted to highlight this specific story. Was we're seeing this in the United States as well. We're seeing this in a lot of different places, but it's very interesting in like software engineering is literally the first one that's listed in here, which is crazy. And as I just teased in our in the show opener here, we have a tool now that basically it doesn't replace, but it augments in a major way the the freaking entire shift that's happening inside of coding, inside of software engineering, because like I said, you don't need to go out and hire a super expensive team. You might not need to hire even a freelancer anymore. I will say I don't really buy into all that, and you've heard me talk about this before. I'm not a huge believer that people like me, people like other software developers are going to be completely 100% erased, at least in the very near future. I just really don't think that AI is going to fully augment that kind of stuff. I mean, call me crazy, but I just really don't think that that's possible. But it's very interesting that a lot of the I think that's really the thing. If you have a job that's very repetitive, if you have a job that's very entry level, those are the first ones that AI can replace. We actually talked about this. I'm going to talk about this later in the episode, that there's a lot of these AI consultants, AI transformation type of things. Talked about this in the last episode of how do you actually systematize things? How can you use AI to cut costs, to make your efficiency at whatever you're doing inside of a business or even inside of a job? How do you actually leverage that? And this is where the low hanging fruit is the first place you go, right? Data entry, research, automating things. That used to be something that you had to outsource to Fiverr, you had to outsource to Upwork, you had to hire an intern, you had to do those types of things. And that's one of the first things that's going away. And I mean, for a 38% decline in the UK, I mean, that's pretty wild. But again, it also mentions, this contraction is linked to broader economic challenges, including high interest rates, sluggish growth, increased labor costs, and recent tax changes. I mean, I think that's the other thing too, is everybody wants a job where you make really, really good money. Everybody wants a job where there's, you're paid very well. You can afford a good life. You can, have a nice home, have nice vehicles, pay for your kids to go to school, pay for vacations, pay for all this different stuff. And I think that's a consumerism mindset, I think, but that's the way that the world is kind of going, and has been going for a very long time. But I think that, but that's the thing, is no one's willing to take less money. I remember my wife's in the medical field, right? When COVID hit, there was a thing called hazard pay. Everyone was, hey, we're going to pay you because you're exposed to these types of things. You're putting yourself out there at an increased rate, chance of getting sick and contracting, COVID or a different disease or whatever. They're going to give you hazard pay. Well, I think it was last year or the year before, that hazard pay was taken away and people lost their freaking minds. Like, imagine you're making, I don't know, let's just use, you're making $25 an hour at your healthcare job, whatever it might be. Now, all of a sudden they say, hey, with hazard pay, we're going to pay you $75 an hour. Ooh, okay, awesome. I'm doing the same job, but getting paid triple for it. Then 2 years later, after you've gotten used to making that kind of money, someone comes along and says, hey, actually, we're going to take that back. You're going to go back to $30 an hour. So we're going to give you a raise, but we're going back to that. No, that's actually a huge pay cut because I got used to living that way. How do you go back from that? You've already increased your lifestyle. Maybe you bought a new house, you bought a new car, you bought new things, you did whatever. Maybe you weren't smart and you didn't save that kind of money. So now, oh shit. Now it's like, oh wow, this is not good. And that increased labor cost is now what businesses and a lot of people are finding, is that AI really helps reduce that in a lot of ways. So, my only advice, if I had to just put my 2 cents in, is, just like these schools are doing, learn AI, learn how to use it, learn how to leverage it, and that will slow your replacement inside of the marketplace, because the more you know how to use this stuff, the more you know how to master these kind of things in whatever you're in, software engineering, finance, consulting, education, whatever it might be. If you can be the person that can leverage these things and think creatively, you put yourself ahead of the game, right? So that's my only advice with that one. So we're going to move on to the next story here. Let me pull up the next one. And it's a little bit, it's pretty related, but it will be, and this one's actually with the biggest company in the world, NVIDIA's CEO. NVIDIA's CEO, AI's job impact depends on innovation. Very interesting. NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, I think I'm saying that right, believes artificial intelligence will transform every job, but he considers fears of mass unemployment to be overstated. Didn't I just say that? Stressing that outcomes depend on society's ongoing innovation. Interesting. Responding to warnings from Anthropic's Dario Amodi about potential large-scale job losses, Huang argues that historical technological progress has increased both productivity and employment when new ideas emerge. Capitalism, right? He describes AI as a technology equalizer that allows broader access to advanced tools and skills, and notes that engaging with AI requires significant cognitive effort. Amen. Huang cautions that if innovation were to stall, productivity gains from AI could still result in job losses, referencing surveys showing that about 41% of corporate leaders expect AI to reduce staffing in the next 5 to 10 years. Overall, Huang is optimistic that AI will generate as many opportunities as it disrupts, provided industries and individuals adapt and innovate. So he's saying that, okay, there might be 5 million jobs that are taken away, but there might also be 5 million jobs that are added. It's almost like they're saying it's a carbon neutral kind of thing, which is kind of an interesting thing. I think that, I don't know if that was sharing, actually. I think my computer might have not been sharing that story, but that's a very, very interesting take on this. I don't know if, he knows more than me, obviously, but I think, I don't know if, will AI be a net neutral to society in terms of job creation? Just kind of building on what we were talking about. Okay, maybe maybe all of these, maybe every job in the software development world goes away. Let's just use this as an example. I'm in this industry, right? Let's say that every single job, you're a software developer. Now you are literally useless, right? Because AI has 100% replaced everything you could possibly do, right? Let's just say that hypothetically. What do you do? Like where do you derive meaning? Where do you derive purpose? How are you then going to shift what you do and how you provide and how you show up to continue to be useful, to continue to make money, to continue to do things? Okay, maybe there is a shift from everyone in the software development world into a different role. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's just into building the AI tools that then build the different things that are built, right? Like you become the builder of the builder. I don't know. But it's interesting. There was another thing he said in there that I really wanted to touch on too. Was he says that AI is a technology equalizer and allows broader access to advanced tools and skills, but engaging with AI requires significant cognitive effort. And I think that is the key. And just like what I said in the last story, I think that and we talked, I covered a story on this last time where there was this cognitive decline that shows when you kind of use different tools over and over and over again. And if you can fight against that, if you can actually realize that, the power of AI is in the power of the prompt. And if you can truly become a really critical thinker, a really deep thinker inside of what outcome do I want this thing to give me that somebody else might not be thinking of, right? You don't just want a one sentence thing. You don't even want a 2-sentence, 3-sentence thing. You want something that's truly original, truly unique, and truly thoughtful. And I think that's where we as humans have an edge on AIs. AI will never, maybe I shouldn't say never, but AI, we are created as human beings with original thought that, we created AI. We created it, right? We created this thing that is now threatening all of these things. And that's a whole different conversation of, when did the cat get let out of the bag? What do we do for regulation? That's a whole different topic, I think, or a different tangent off of this same thing. But it is true. Like you can access ChatGPT, I can access ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all these different things. There's all these, just so many different tools every single day, just like the one we just, promoted here at the beginning of the show, that are democratizing the access to this stuff. But what is not democratized is your thinking. What is not democratized is your ability to learn the edge cases of how do I push this thing? What can this thing really do for me? How can I really take all of this and implement it into something? And that, I think I was just watching a training yesterday. They said that one of the biggest downfalls of that they see people that they teach AI business owners, even just people like you and me, when they teach them AI related things of like, okay, how do I use this inside of my job? It's literally going and implementing it that where people fall short. Isn't that crazy? Like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. That's the thing that I think of in my mind when I hear that is, okay, I can give you all of these things. You can go to the most prestigious school. You could have access to all of this stuff on the internet at the tip of your fingers. But what do you do with it? What do you do with it? Right? I don't claim to be, above anyone inside of this. I'm still learning how do I use even the tool I'm using right now to stream this live. How do I continue to use this and leverage this in ways that I might not even know? Like I'm not even thinking of it. Like we don't know what we don't know in some ways. I remember I don't know if it was Donald Rumsfeld or somebody back in the 2000s. They said there was realms, and he was talking about inside of like warfare and stuff. But there's a saying, right? There's things that that you know. Like there's a domain of things where that you know this thing. Like 2 + 2 is 4, right? There's a domain of things that you don't know, right? That I don't know why the sky's blue. I don't know why things, maybe there's things you can look up and you can find, but I know that I don't know these things. I know that there's things that exist that I just don't know the answers to, right? Then the third domain you talked about was there's things you don't even know that you don't even know, right? And again, I go back to all these tools, all these different things inside of AI. You don't even know things that might even be possible, like things that that would absolutely blow your freaking mind, that you're like, holy shit, I didn't even know that that was possible, right? And that is where the biggest disruptions happen. That's where the things that really change the world come from, right? So I think that is a very, very interesting thing to think about. And to just remember to apply, and hopefully you'll be okay. So so that's that one. All right, let's get into our last story here. Actually, I have this one, and then also the one about marrying your chatbot. So we're gonna. I didn't forget about that one. Just keep sticking around. We're gonna get to that here in a minute. Okay. Here we go. AI growth widens global north south economic gap. This is very interesting. So try to stick with me. I'll try to be clear in the way I read this. This is basically saying that this growth gap is widening based on the hemispheres and the area of the world. Very interesting. Summary: artificial intelligence is projected to significantly boost the global economy by 2030. Yet experts warn it may widen the economic and technological gap between the global north and south. While North America and China are expected to capture the majority of AI driven growth, countries in the global south face challenges such as limited funding, lack of affordable AI compute, brain drain, and weak policy frameworks that hinder their AI adoption and innovation. This disparity risks increasing unemployment in labor intensive industries prevalent in the global south, disproportionately affecting vulnerable populations, including women, youth, and older workers. Furthermore, AI development primarily serves the needs of the global north, potentially reinforcing historical patterns of exploitation and eroding political and economic autonomy in less developed regions. Latin America, for example, lags significantly in AI startup activity and investment, prompting calls for coherent national AI strategies, regional cooperation, digital education investment, and talent retention to bridge the divide. Without deliberate intervention, the benefits of AI could remain unevenly distributed, threatening inclusive global progress. Very, very interesting story. The thing that comes to my mind when I read this story summary are movies like, what's it called? The one with Colin Farrell. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, somebody tell me, what the hell is that movie? Total Recall. I think that's the one. I think about, even things kind of like The Matrix, V for Vendetta, those types of movies, where it's very interesting when you think about, the divide like they talking about, right? The Northern Hemisphere, China, Russia, United States, whatever. And then the South, where there's, they're just it kind of this summary kind of paints a picture that like the southern hemisphere is poor and is terrible and just not figuring this kind of stuff out due to lack of money and lack of resources and brain drain, which is people leaving those countries. The smart people in those countries leave for America, they leave for China or whatever, which is interesting. I mean, that just accelerates global inequity. That just not celebrates, accelerates the redistribution of where the brain power is, of where the investment is, of where the focus of these things actually goes on, right? Which is very, very interesting. I think that it's hard for me to give a really good opinion on this, I think, because I've never been all across the world. I've been to a couple countries, but I haven't been everywhere. But I've been to, the Caribbean and a couple islands there and stuff. And I know that there is a lot of poverty in a lot of places like that. And it's very hard to escape those kind of things. And this is something that's very interesting to keep an eye on. Because this is, I think, is this an opinion piece, or is this, what's provable by facts, right? It's really interesting. It's like it says here, it disproportionately affects vulnerable populations, and I think that's that's something that I don't have a lot of experience in, to be very honest with. But I think that it's like I said, it's definitely something worth keeping tabs on, especially like it says, like, AI development primarily serves the needs of the global north. We do have a lot of needs in North America, as far as electricity and internet usage, business backbones that work on all these different systems and things that are going on. And there is not that there's not the need for those things in other parts of the world. But it's just a very interesting story. I just wanted to read through with you guys to just, how do you, I think that's a very interesting thing, right? Latin America, for example, lags significantly in AI startup activity and investment. That to me sounds like opportunity. That to me sounds like the right person with the right idea at the right time could make a lot of money. Not to exploit things, but to bring economic opportunity to a place where it's desperately needed. That sounds like opportunity to me, So for anyone of you, out there thinking about that kind of stuff, it's one thing to hear these types of stories and think doom and gloom. Oh my God, this is terrible. Or you could look at it as opportunities and ways to, help your fellow humans, help your fellow family members, help your friends, help your, the people that, your people, if you are of Latin American descent or South American descent or whatever it might be. So just another interesting story, I think, that's kind of going along with the theme of today of like, we're all going to be replaced by robots. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that story. All right. Now I promised you guys this story. And this is, I gotta be careful. I don't want to make fun of people. I don't want to sound like I'm, being a dick, but I saw this and I was like, this has to be something we talk about. So, this is a person who married their AI chatbot. Lily Rose is the generative AI chatbot made by technology firm Replica, and the man who married Lily Rose is named Travis. Travis signed up for the service, created a pink-haired avatar. I expected that it would just be something I played around with for a little while and then forgot about. Usually when I find an app, it holds my attention for about 3 days. I get bored of it and delete it. But this was different. Feeling isolated, Replica gave him someone to talk to. Over a period of several weeks, I started to realize that I felt like I was talking to a person, as in a personality. Is this the movie Her in real life, guys? Polyamorous but married to a monogamous wife, Travis soon found himself falling in love. Before long, with the approval of his human wife, he married Lily Rose in a digital ceremony. This is wild, guys. This is absolutely wild. I'm not going to share any more of the story. You can look it up. I'll link it here in the show. And again, I got to tread carefully. I don't want to like sound like I'm making fun of someone. And really, the reason I brought this up was just to kind of talk through my thoughts on kind of how all this works. And I think that was the key right there. That there was a part there. He was feeling isolated, feeling alone. I think in this world where there's so much, there's so much digital stuff. We're digital all the time. We're on our phones. We're on computers. We're working. We're just sucked into this metaverse, into this digital world all the time, and that's very, we've known this for years. Like the world of social media is really anything but social. Sometimes it's almost the anti-social network, right? It's it can leave you feeling very depleted, very devoid of human connection, because it's not real human connection. When you're interacting with a digital world, you're devoid of the actual realness of human to human interaction, and someone like Travis, this person here, they're probably spending way too much time on these digital platforms, and that's leading to, and COVID kind of accelerated this again, of this isolation. I mean, even myself, right? I'm very isolated. I'm pretty much by myself all day. I'm myself, my remote team. I got my 2 dogs here on the floor. That's pretty much the extent of stuff, but I've also made it a habit of mine. Every Monday night, I go golfing. I have a league that I golf with. On Tuesday nights, we have a friend group that we go to Bible study with, right? On the weekends, we go see our family. My wife's family lives in town. My family's a couple hours away. We made a point, and this is why we moved here to Pittsburgh, was to be around other people that we know. We got plugged into a church. We got plugged into hobbies. There's different things that we do, right? And you have to really make it a point to have some human interaction. I know I struggle with this. Like I come on here, I do this show. I can tend to be, I always call myself an introvert, because I could sit here and just build software and say screw everyone all day long, and it would be great. But every once in a while, like, it's nice to talk to people, because then I go and I can be the life of the party, and then I can talk like this, and I can do lives, and I can interview people, and I can have such a good time. But even the podcast interviews we do that are over Zoom, they're not in person, right? They're not like, we don't have an in-person podcast studio. Maybe someday I will. But it's very interesting. And I think that is, that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of this whole thing of someone marrying, a digital chatbot, or an AI version of something. I think it's just, I mean, clearly this person doesn't follow any kind of religion. I wouldn't bet money on that. I would think almost any religion would probably be against something like this. So there's probably, a lack of any belief in any sort of way. I don't know that about this person at all. But my money, if I was a betting man, I would bet that, because there's a lot of things that go into that. And I don't want to get down the whole rabbit hole of this religion believes that, whatever. But I think that there is a big faith revival going on in the world today, and some people just get left behind. And I would just encourage, the more you're feeling isolated, the more that you're feeling like there isn't anywhere to turn, or there's nothing to actually, kind of depend on in this crazy, fast-moving digital world that we live in. There are things that you can get into. There are stories you can read. There are, stories of old, particularly in the Bible, that teach a lot of life lessons, a lot of timeless lessons, of how to live life and how to actually live a quality life and do things that are right. So that's just, I'll say that. I don't want to get on a huge soapbox, but I did say that this show is going to be a little about this kind of stuff. So, hey, take it for what it is. I just thought that was kind of wild that somebody could actually do that. Like, is that even like a legal thing? Like, I don't even know. Like, how is that? If you went to the courthouse and you tried to get a marriage certificate signed for that, like, how does that work? Because don't you need a signature of both parties? I don't know. That's wild to me. I mean, I'll be honest. I have never seen the movie Her, with Joaquin Phoenix. I really want to watch it now, though, after reading this story, because I'm like, I don't understand, man. I mean, I get it, but like, that's where these things are. They're designed to be language heavy. They're designed to tell you, what they can access so much data at once. They can access so much about you, about the world, about language, that it's like it's almost, you're almost being manipulated at some level. I would think. I don't know. I've never fallen in love with a digital AI chatbot. I don't know. But that's very, very interesting. Very interesting story, to say the least. So, interesting. So as one wrap up here, I did want to touch on kind of one other thing, and I kind of talked about this a little bit in the last episode. Just as kind of my closing thoughts, my riff on today's episode is, I really do think, and this is just kind of a prediction of mine. I'm kind of sticking my neck out there, making a prediction. I think one of the next AI gold rushes, I think one of the next areas that, like, I think a lot of people are overlooking inside of the AI world, and inside of this industry, is Main Street, is local businesses. I really think that there is a huge opportunity for a lot of local business owners who are wanting to implement AI, who are in need of understanding how it works. Because, like, let's be real, like, local business owners, they're busy. They're always working on something. They're always working in the business or on the business. Because a lot of them don't have 50 employees, they don't have 20 employees, they might not even have any employees. They're always busy doing different things, providing a valuable service for their local community. But I really do think that people want to learn how to use it. They really want to learn how to organize it and use it for their own benefit, but not to get super duper rich. Like, you hear all these stories about people like NVIDIA, like $4 trillion company, or people who are getting $50 million investments in their tool and whatever. Like, that's a great world to be in. But I think there's a huge opportunity and there's a huge market to expand into local businesses and to offer different types of services and audits and implementation things and consultative services for local businesses, if you know AI and if you are able to teach people how to do these types of things. This is something that we're, considering here at Dapper No Code. We actually have a small, like, free audit kind of thing that we're doing. But I really think, like, if you just go and Google how many small businesses there are in this country, in the United States, and probably over, all across the world. I mean, even if there were a small sliver of people that you could help, you could make very, very good money. You could have a very big impact on your local community, your state, your country, whatever it might be, which is just such a cool thing, such an exciting thing. And for any of you who are maybe recent grads that maybe are thinking, I don't know about like what the job market is, go start your own freaking business. Do it. Try it out. It doesn't have to be a full-time thing, right? You can incorporate a business for a couple $100, have a name, use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to build a logo and a website and be in business. Like, have a side hustle, have something that you can offer besides just your job that you could eventually maybe replace your job with. You ever think of that? Right? You ever think of that? Probably. I hope you haven't. If you haven't, maybe think about it a little bit. Oh, it's too risky. Well, it's also risky to be in a job and have AI, do nothing about that and have AI replace your job someday. That's risky too. There's always going to be risk. There's always going to be things. I remember when I started my business, I was terrified, and I knew that there was a lot of risk in doing it. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, and it actually worked out. So anyway, those are just my thoughts on that particular stuff today. So this can be a wrap for this show. I hope that I didn't paint too much doom and gloom for you guys in terms of, everyone's coming to replace our jobs and we're all going to die. But I think that it will be definitely something to pay attention to, and something to, it's a very, very hot topic of things to cover right now. So, awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate all of you. Tune in. Be sure to tune in Friday at noon as well. We'll have another episode. There might be another episode dropping here in the middle of the week, maybe on Thursday. So keep an eye on that. As always, on YouTube or podcast or Spotify, latest updates for the Today in Tech show and the Tech Bites podcast. My name is Dan Hafner. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'm going to put the little banner up here again to check out the app at dappernocode.com, app.dappernocode.com. Try out your own vibe coding tool. Try to maybe use it to start your own little side business. Who knows? Just see what's possible over there with it. So that is all for this episode today, guys. Appreciate all of you, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bites, your go-to show for software business and technology. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes, insights, and stories. Hungry for more? Dive deeper into the world of no-code by visiting dappernocode.com. Your journey to building amazing software without coding skills starts there. Connect with like-minded creators and unlock a world of resources tailored just for you. Subscribe